This is your weekend market review for Friday, March 31st, 2023.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your weekend market recap for Friday, March 31st, 2023. Let's get into it. Pretty wild week. Market closed near at the highs. A lot of things going on behind the scenes. We'll talk about what's going on, what to expect next week, and just, again, the mindset of how to be wrong. Eat humble pie when you are wrong. Define your risk and just be thoughtful to the process. Again, if trading was easy, everyone would make money. People out there promising certainty, people out there promising that they can't be wrong, got to be worried about, because that's not reality. And the market can be more irrational than it is rational at times. Things won't always make sense until later. The whys. Either way, let's get into it. Please reach out if you have any questions. I appreciate everybody's love and support. I know at times trading is not easy. The markets don't make sense, but the goal is to survive. Maintain your capital. Do the best you can, because, again, ultimately everybody, and I mean everybody, even the best, will struggle at times with what the market is going to do. Everybody's going to be wrong at some point. So, on that note, interesting action after the close. You can see the House, or the Biden administration, rejects the House GOP to restart debt limit talks. That's coming up at some point. They got to try to kick that can down the road. What I'm seeing underneath the currents, the markets definitely have things to be concerned about. I mean, credit issues, commercial real estate. I mean, you can go down the list of things going on. Banks, I mean, more money was pulled out of banks last week. It's pretty wild. Either way, this is the thing about the markets. You can anticipate and you can still be wrong because of timing. Timing is difficult. Now, I'm seeing a lot of certainty in the people believing the market's going higher. I'm seeing people who believe in the certainty that the market's going to go lower and has to tank immediately. We're at some interesting levels. Again, when you zoom out weekly, monthly charts, you'll see, wow, we're at inflection points. I see people stopping out and going, well, do I need to go long the market? That would be no different than closing out your shorts, or sorry, if you stopped out of the market buying at the lows and going short in October. That doesn't make sense. So be patient, let things play out. Do our best to try to guide people. And again, I appreciate the feedback. Even the trolls, the people who are coming out of the woodworks talking junk, again, I don't mind it. It is what it is. You're going to be wrong, and no one will know about it, but that's okay. But that's the reality. I mean, I have to admit, or not admit, this is part of the job. When you're public, you are under all the scrutiny in the world, and that's how it goes. So, on that note, Discord room, yeah, link is in the description below. Trading Agent, check it out. Follow on Twitter. Feel free to leave comments. Is where I get a lot of the best trolling. That and stock twits, people getting really frustrated. Again, I apologize if I'm wrong, but don't blame anybody but yourself. You hit enter. You hit exit. Remember, don't wish the market was easier. Wish you were better. And that's the thing about the markets, is I'm telling you over and over and over again, the best in the world win 80, 90% of the time. Do you think we're always going to be right? You're going to be right. No, the goal is to what? Minimize losses, maximize reward when you're right. And sometimes you're going to miss moves. That's just the nature of the game. You can't hit everything all the time. As they say, you only need a bat 300 to be a Hall of Famer in baseball. Well, in trading, it's all about having your wins greater than your losses. That's how you go to the Hall of Fame. All right, please check out the YouTube channel, Back to Basics, educational videos. I'm telling you, well worth it. I've been updating the website, trying to get this more dialed in. Again, the beginning part is, I got the recommended reading. The beginning videos are more for newer traders, and the advances as you go through it. Please, if you have any questions about such, reach out. Let's again check the Fed watch tools. Are we getting a rate hike, rate cut next meeting? As of right now, if I remember correctly, it's about 50-50. Yeah, that's what we're at. So let's get into it. The Bitcoin, chopping at the range highs. You've got your levels. Keep an eye on it. You could argue it's an M top or a W bottom. I mean, it's just, you got this range low of 26,005 something to 29. Yeah, 5. I mean, you got a pretty wide range here. $3,000, about a 10% range. Just keep it simple. Go with Breaks below, it's probably going lower. Goes higher, it's going higher. Oil, right back up into major support in the black line. Now, again, this is where the biggest conundrum for the markets is because the Feds have a big problem here. They can't let inflation entrench without what? Causing bigger problems later. They're going to have to raise rates later. And if they raise rates later, it's going to hurt the commercial real estate market. It's going to affect the residential real estate market. It's just, again, raising rates is what's killing a lot of these bank assets because, again, mark to market on fixed income that is yielding almost 1 to 0%, depending on if it's Europe, 100-year bonds, negative yield. That stuff is junk now. There's no mark to market. Inflation goes higher and the Feds have to raise rates. They're screwed. This is what's so hard right now is you don't know. People trying to act like for sure that this is going to happen. What's next? Like time-wise, okay. Again, not bear market rallies are viciously strong ups followed by what? The falling down later. If oil rises, I'm telling you right now, the Feds are in a massive pickle. You're going to see that within the market because ultimately, this is the thing, right? We have huge amounts of debt to roll over, tons of treasuries, tons of commercial real estate, higher rates. If oil pops, commodities start ripping again, they're in a world of hurt. They're going to have to try to hit the emergency brake. That's my opinion. Watch what happens to oil because, again, best case scenario is we hit the VIX. VIX gets to where it needs to. You capitulate, oil drops. Then you get, unanchored. You anchor inflation down 2% or less. I just don't know if they can do that, y'all. It's going to be choppy, sloppy, and messy. Watch this area in the mid-70s. Natural gas, we talked about, this is probably a good buy zone for the long term, but does it have to go anywhere? That's the problem, right? You could chop in a tight 10%, I guess maybe 10, 15% range, maybe 30% range, whatever, $2 to $3. Could be. So just be careful, be thoughtful. All right, the dollar. And on a day where everything was up, it made no sense. You had dollars being bought, bond being bought, tech being bought, gold being sold. Right? You had bonds, dollar, tech, but not semiconductors. It was a very weird day. Very weird day to end the quarter. Right now, as you look at the daily, you're chopping here, you're holding the most recent lows. Again, I personally think the dollar goes higher because the Feds want to maintain credibility. I believe that even though the BRICS and all this stuff is going on around the world, people will still flock to the dollar until we go to what? Reckless QE, which, again, could that come first? You have to have that in the back of your mind. I would anticipate them not trying to crash the currency. If anything, trying to reestablish strength against the BRICS. We'll see if I'm wrong. Bonds, again, getting bought today. Pretty wild. But if you watch the 10-minute, if you're looking at the 10-minute chart, this is what's crazy. I was watching the close in the bond market. It got absolutely pounded right at the close. Big volume. Huge volume. I mean, look at that. It's nothing like it. 2 back-to-back candles. Somebody's doing something with the bond market. Again, zoom out. You can see hitting the 200-day in a choppy zone. If you look at the monthly, you know that this area from 108, whatever, plus, it's been a bear to get over. It's been an absolute nightmare for bonds to get over. TLT, rates going lower, essentially. But here's the thing, right? This is where I think this is what the Feds really want, though. You got bonds to spike, right? From 2008 to 2009.
Could you try again?
No, sorry, Siri. That's my thinking. The Feds want to get the rates lower with all this cash on the sidelines. The best way to do that, get deflation, get money coming out of risk assets would be going to bonds. I know this sounds not what everyone's saying, but this is what me thinking. If I'm the Feds right now, I have been stuck. We've been idiots. If we talk about raising rates and the economy starts to slow, people will buy bonds. It's what they did in every other start of a recession, right? Like people go defensive, right? That's how they get deflation. They get inflation, how they try to get their credibility back. Is it all lost? We'll see. The VIX. Wow. Coming right back down to the range lows. Again, anything under 19 has been an absolute gift. Again, I get trolled pretty hard on social media because people are like, bear market's over. When has a bear market ever bottomed with a 38 handle? We are going through one of the most going to be one of the biggest and craziest, maybe prolonged bear markets of our lifetime, because we've gone so long without it. Now, again, people say, well, COVID. I'm like, COVID really wasn't was like a blip. And then they threw the freaking thrusters on for QE. Like your traditional cycles, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Like, again, this is .com. Remember, the vixen was crazy. Here's 2008. We haven't even gotten close up into the 48s. And now we're back to like pretty comfortable. Everything's going to be fine. This is what you got to be concerned about if you're a bull. Again, getting trolled. Oh, you're wrong. You're okay. I got it. I eat humble pie when I'm wrong. Again, it's when the banking sector, I beg people to take some profits, trade around their positions. Things went higher than you thought. Guess what? Does it make sense that a few names are leading the whole market up? I don't think so. But guess what? The market can be more irrational than you can stay solvent if you're not careful. SPY. Look at today's action. Yesterday, I mean, 70% of Fridays on a end of a quarter bearish. Okay. Well, here's last April, March. Blowout topper, then drop. Again, if I am looking at this for going into earnings, this doesn't really, I'd be scared. Because look at like Micron, popped and then it flopped, right? Obviously with what's going on with China. Here's another box. Let me close this out. Let me do a little house cleaning. Could this be a head and shoulders top? Now, I know a lot of people are going, oh, it's a head and shoulders bottom. Left shoulder, right shoulder. Well, what about up here? Could this be the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder? Now, people say right shoulder, high volume. That means we must be going higher. Well, again, the market makers had to absorb clearly some inventory because the world was looking like it was going to end there when banks were just imploding left and right. Big banks, not little banks. Like we're talking about huge banks. The liquidity spigot supposedly on. Okay. Again, I have my opinions. I think the Feds, if they're smart, try to get people to buy bonds. They don't want them buying stocks. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Oh, sorry. Let's go zoom out for a second. Always forget to do that. Check this out. You go look at the monthly. Big trading range. Let us in almost, April of last year, March of last year, we're at the bottom of the range. Let's see what happens. Again, next month, April. Be careful. I'm telling you. Be careful if you're bullish looking at the Qs. Or at the VIX. QQQ. What a wild maniac. Closing up. Did we fill the gap? No, we're close enough. Do we need to fill the gaps up here? I mean, anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. Now, a lot of people are screaming, well, Dan, tech is leading higher. I think tech is going to have probably the most issues out of everyone. Because, again, credit, tech needs credit, needs free money, or needs borrowing. Higher interest rates are not good for them. But here, look at the monthly. We're not even at the 20-month. We're coming into the next resistance zone. Are we going to break out? That's my guess is a negative. I think we're going to hit the ceiling as we are. Back off. All right, IWM's been lagging. Caught up a little today. Can't argue that over the 20-day. Look at Qs and SPY way up here. IWM way down here. See what happens when the 179 levels. Close enough for government work. Again, if you're watching on the bigger time frames, the monthly doesn't look that great, y'all. Doesn't look that great. Hit the 20-month, backed off, tested range lows, bounced at the 50-month. Keep an eye on it. DIA popped today. Pretty good. Again, got below the December lows, rallied back. Again, this trend line, I guess, you could draw it many ways, right? You could draw it like this. Draw it like that. Either way. It's up. Again, these are things you can't argue, right? But when you zoom out, right, you go check the monthly. Probably should do some quarterly channel or some quarterly charts. Let me get this a little finer. You're playing around with this trend line. Do we have to back test it? We'll see. Again, popping. You can't argue with what's going on. Just is what it is. Manage your stops. Gold has been leading up. And now it's getting tired, right? It led off the lows in October. November. Now it's leading up and getting tired. Something's off here. I don't know what to say other than second quarter. I'll say this over and over, and I'll say it every year you follow me for the rest of your life. Second quarter is always hard for gold and silver. Is it just always terrible? No, but it's usually at worst volatile. It's not typically bullish. Silver, finally getting back up to the range highs. Was wondering when it was. I mean, if the metals were as strong as everyone wanted to perceive it to be, you'd think it'd get back up in its upper box. We're getting there. Close enough. GDXJ or GDX, you would think the GDX would be up today. A ton. Okay. It's making lower highs. We'll see. New relative highs, obviously. Like you compare it to gold, right? Like there's that gold high. Gold making new highs. But look at the GDX, right? Making lower highs. Something smells fishy. You smell it? Something doesn't smell right. These miners should be up here in the, like for the GDXJ, should be up in the 40s, right? We talk about, the GDX. Let me go back to this, the monthly. This area matters that you're in. It's the show me the money zone. Excuse my language if you saw that. But maybe, here, let me show you on the weekly so it doesn't have all the expletives. Don't want to get in trouble. I apologize, the tube, if you saw that. But here it is, the 30s. It matters. It just absolutely matters. Gold miners, some of the loudest trolls out there, like, oh, we're going to the moon. And it's like, keep an eye on it. Gold making new highs, miners not confirming it on the bigger charts. AG, I like that they cut off supplies. I said, all right, we're going to tell you guys that we're not going to produce silver at a loss. Good. Over time, hopefully we go much higher in silver. Love silver long term. Physical, love it, love it, love it, love it. Here you go. Chopping around. Doji, hammer, we'll see. AEM, it's got to move faster. Not making new highs. Newmont, 49s. I was struggling at 48. It's just tight action. Tight action. You would think Newmont would be in the 50s. Why? Why? Doesn't make sense. PAAS, can't get over 19. Something seems off. I'm telling you right now, that's not strength. That looks like relative weakness compared to the metal. AM Dizzle, blow off top, chopping around. Again, when you zoom out, it has the great middle finger formation potentially. Right? Here are your fingers, here's this, and here's your thumb. Tries to get over the 20-month. No, senor. No luck. Right? Taiwan Semi. All these names look, just chopping here. Lower highs. Again, if you look at the monthly, hit the 20-month. Rejected. Micron. China issues. Is this a pro gap? This looks like the gap to trap on volume. What is this? Danger. Look at it. Every time it gets up into like the mid-60s. Rejected. Gaps down. Rut-row raggy. NVIDIA. The boss. Everybody loves it. Closes at new highs. What do you say? Just, it's a beast. Again, this getting over the Fed day range highs, closes over it on lighter volume. I saw the 10-minute. Again, if you saw the 10-minute at the close, I was watching going, holy crap, somebody is making big moves. Big moves. Somebody distributed at the close. We'll see. Intel, this thing's been a beast. It went from most hated to most loved. I was going to say, the trend line, the trend line that I'm really watching here is on the weekly. 50-month. Chop bottom. Could it get, I don't know. Keep an eye on this one, because again, it looks and smells funky. Do you smell it? I smell it. And it's, again, like everybody loves the stock, and it bottomed after they gave up on it. Now it pops up to the 200-month. Some references here. If you're looking at the actual semiconductor industry, what's going on, again, fundamentals sometimes don't necessarily matter, but when you look at them, you start laughing because you go, literally, there's a glut of chips everywhere. Everywhere. And now what? Everybody loves it? Everybody loves chips. I mean, it just seems like counterproductive. Like, why would you buy the semiconductor industry when there's a glut of chips? SMH today. Again, coming right back into the range highs. Congratulations, Xavier SM. You're the one who called this one. Credit where credit's due. Again, certain trolls, and not even trolls. I mean, people I've known. Solomon's out here saying, hey, you're done. Market's going higher. Okay. Well, we fill the gap. We fill the gap. Now what? Good question. Again, you could argue when you look at the weekly, right? You're just in this big chop slop zone. You're popping up to it. Now, again, are we going to break out with terrible? I mean, if you go look at Micron's earnings, you go, what the hell? That's what they're all going to be like. But it rallied. Can't argue that. Is it cooked in? I don't think so. I mean, again, I think we're just on the precipice of what is going to be a wild, sloppy market. And at some point, we'll be dropping. Just a matter of when. Could be next week, could be next month. I hope. For myself, it's sooner than later because I'll have to stop out completely. Adobe, chopping up at the highs. Apple, I kind of noticed this trend line a couple days ago. I was like, do we have to get up into the zone, fill this gap, hit the trend line? Okay. Again, if you're watching Apple, right? Oh, sorry. Something doesn't make sense. Somebody was dumping at the close again. Who has that kind of volume? Not me. Keep an eye on it. Amazon finally gets over the 101 area. Congratulations. We'll see how much upside it has. CRM. Talked about the 200 level on the monthly, right? Right? Here you can check it on the weekly too. Okay. See what happens here. 200 week. A lot of stuff going on. Again, tons of inventory. Trading hands at the close. Guggenheim finally gets back a little bit. Man, it just doesn't look like it's leading. Meta, again, the endless TikTok ban. That you do not want. TikTok ban separate on its own, fine, whatever. But that bill that they're writing try to ban Meta is scary. I mean, they literally could fine you $250,000 for using a VPN, or $200,000 and 20 years in prison for using a VPN if you don't agree with what's going on. Okay, we'll see what happens here. Can't argue with that price action, though. It's pretty sick. But when you look at the monthly, you go, damn, thing is fuerte. I mean, I guess you could expand this range here because there's a candle at 217, but buena suerte. Thing has been on fire. Microsoft getting up fills the gap. Wow. Again, when you zoom out, you look at some of the weekly, monthly, you're just coming right into resistance. You can probably see it better when we zoom out. Pull that across because I guess it's coming into play now. Yeah, right in there. Still got a little more to go because you can see it there. All right, but I mean, can't argue it. NDAQ, we've talked about this lagging for a reason. Why it lags, chopping. Popped a little bit. MicroStrategy all over the place. Bitcoin chopping. All right, does it need to go back to the top of the range? I don't know. Keep an eye on it. Netflix. Thought it would fail the 50-day, but if the market held up, look at that. Back testing the trend line in play, keep an eye on that, right? Roblox still stuck in the 45 to 44 area. All right, we'll see what happens. Tesla finally pops. I mean, finally in the sense of like, okay, crap or get off the pot, right? Coming back to the game over candle. Elon being summoned to China to talk about, I don't know what. It doesn't sound good to me. If he has to go over to China and talk. Like, why is he going to China? What are they about to tell him? Could you retest 210? It seems very likely. Maybe the 200-day? That's crazy if it does. Materials. I was watching, I'm like, why is letter X down today? Again, chopping, can't get over the 20-day. Nucor up a little better, doing a little better. Trying to get into this gap in the 20-day maybe. Keep an eye on it. Caterpillar up a couple points. Not surprised. This thing's been absolutely kicked in the teeth. You're right here at some resistance at 230. Keep an eye on it. VALE, we talked about, man, don't you think VALE should, be on fire if the dollar's going lower? Okay, nice little bounce, but then it comes right into what? Resistance here in the 16s. Keep an eye on it. Arrow, I thought this one would be up today. Again, copper. Blowout top, huge volume. If you saw the candles and the volume, you go, holy crap, 2 days ago. Why? Somebody's selling copper. Again, there's so many anomalies right now. CCJ, talked about potentially getting up to the 26, little double bottom. I still think it's going lower in time. CF, again, we like ag names. I think they're going to have a chop bottom. And again, they could go lower. I'd prefer them to go lower because if they get extreme too cheap, they're going to get bought up. Same thing, Mosaic holding the 42, 41 area. NTR, again, you would think this would be up in like the 75s. It's got no lift. No lift. I'd love to see some more of these lower supports. Aaron, chopping, same kind of thing. Just these material names. Again, you would think they should be leading higher. Tech is, I don't believe, and I don't trust it. XLF, talked about the 32s. You finally got back in there. I'm not surprised. Watch what happens. Maybe it's a 20-day that needs to hit. Keep an eye on it. I mean, again, I like the short in the banks. JP Morgan popping. I mean, probably watch the 20-day. Keep in mind, the following week we do have bank earnings. Morgan Stanley, okay, big chopping range. Just, I mean, keep an eye on it. Just watch these things. They're not really terrible, but they're, coming back into some resistance up here. Goldman Sachs, again, they got slapped around pretty good, right? You drop 25, 30%. Not surprised they bounce back, right? XBI, this thing, again, this is like another version of tech, right? Baby bios love free money. They love low interest rates. They love to borrow money. They don't have dividends. They just burn cash. This is what I think tech should be doing. But here it is. This is, XBI is just doing this. It's like, something doesn't make sense here. I don't know why people are piling into tech. Maybe they think their bet money's safe. Scary. IYT bouncing here. Transports, not surprised. You got some major VAP zone here. Look over to the left. We'll see what happens here. Just pulling some of these names in here. Solar, good gosh. Wide and loose, all over the place. Up, down, up, down. We talked about the major moving averages converging here. Then you hit the bottom of the box. No wonder it rejects. Keep an eye on this stuff. ENPH has been just chopping and slopping around. 50 days has been a problem. Maybe, does it need to get up to this box? That would be the easiest short, in my opinion. Sedge, 300s, 330s, chopping. Making lower highs. We'll see. I mean, that's obviously the short zone up there. But if you get there, you get there. First Solar, man, this thing is trying to play games up at the highs. Just keep an eye on it, right? Be safe. HYG popped today. Not surprised. I mean, everything was getting bought. Zing. Wow. Right? That's all you can say. But here's this fib. If you, essentially have in your mind, this is what's kind of crazy. Like, look at the monthly here. We hit the bottom of the channel. We bounce, right? This area around here, 75s, it's really important. It is really important. Keep an eye on it, okay? Do me a favor. Again, not trading HYG, just keep an eye on it. End it with the oils, oil. Chopping new highs off the lows. Again, Feds cannot like this. 10% move in 2 weeks. Natural gas, again, I hate the UNG. I mean, maybe the play is to short cold or whatever. Don't go long the boil, that's for sure. And UNG, these things are just bleh. XOP, holding up. Again, 20-day, saying watch this box fill in the gap 128s. Once it got 20-day over, again, once it got kind of over 123, he said watch this next little area. Seems to be holding into it. ExxonMobil, again, I'm a little concerned because the majors here, look at the action tightening up, doji on the day of the market. And again, 50, 100-day. Said watch the 100-day. Is that a short? Looking very much like so. Oxy again. Buffett's buying more, and what has happened? It just goes sideways. Something smells funny. And it's maybe it's me. Maybe I need to take a shower. PX Dizzle, again, back into this 200 range. I get it. Keep an eye on it. Watch what happens. Come on, let me spread that out. Spread your wings. Keep an eye on it. EQT, yeah, that should be up a little bit. I guess natural gas is chopping. It's just yeah. I mean, it's slow and steady. Flex LNG, we'll end it here again. Chopping. We'd love to see it down in the low 20s. All right, if you have any questions, please reach out. I know this is hard. Be prepared, though, if you're looking for hard assets, too, because if you think the Feds are going to ultimately pivot and puke at some point to try to get interest rates down, I'm telling you right now, please be prepared to buy real estate. And I know people are going to say, well, the market's going to tank, real estate's going to tank, unemployment's going to go. Okay, fair enough. But if you can get real estate at generational low interest rates again, right before the big inflation, because again, I really think that if they have to cut rates aggressively, I think they're going to spur a massive inflation again. Remember, there's still shortages in housing. There's people in mortgages at 3 to 2.5% that will try to never sell. And what happens if people aren't buying houses? the rents go up. The rents are going to go up. This is where the problem with the pickle. This is the pickle for the pickle for the feds. If the my housing market, there's no inventory, people don't want to sell, and then people aren't buying. So now they're like, well, I got to rent. Well, guess what? Do your homework, get a good property, rent it out, have someone else pay the mortgage, and watch as that asset hedges inflation and pays you maybe a little bit of income. And the write-offs are amazing on real estate if you don't know this. Man. All right, I appreciate everybody. Again, I apologize if you feel let down by anything that we've done, because ultimately in the markets, as I've said this, ultimately, I'm trying to help out the best I can, but you have to enter the trades. You have to exit the trades. You have to be very thoughtful about what your risk is and define it. Because you can't, the best traders are what? Right? Your goal is to what? It's to minimize your losses when you're right and let your winners run. And if you've been long and you've won, congratulations. I would be looking to take profits. It'd be no different than when we were shorting and the market dumped on the financial stuff, took profits. Again, things can change pretty quickly. Budget stuff, more bank issues. Europe, to me, is literally about to implode. China, housing market issues. Europe, Russia, you name it. We are not out of the woodwork yet. Sorry, out of the woods. So reach out if you need have any questions. I appreciate everyone. I love everyone. Be safe. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.